So you want to rent a house or an apartment here in Corvallis, Oregon, and you don't know where to get started. Well, welcome to Rentvallis. Hey folks, I'm Michael Krasilovsky, and I'm a real estate agent here running Team K Realty out of RE/MAX in Corvallis. So let's dive right in. Do be sure to stick around until the very end because I've got an important bonus pro tip for you. There'll be a couple of pro tips along the way, but that one at the end will save you a lot of heartache. All right, so the first thing that you need to know about the rental market is, what does the rental market feel like? So Corvallis is a university town. This is a student-dominated rental market, and it's also a slow growth town. So what does that mean? Slow growth means that historically, for new land to get annexed into the urban growth boundary, public usually gets to vote on it, and they usually say no. Okay, great. What does that translate into on the rental market side of things? It means that we're going to have not a lot of development here. So high demand, college town, and low supply. Not a lot of places available for rent. So it's going to be a competitive rental market. And because it's a slow growth town and most of our homes are older, there's not a lot of new development in a slow growth town. Just so you know, a lot of the rental houses might be a little bit like older and more worn, stuff like that. It's going to be pretty common, so I don't want to sugarcoat that. You might as well know it ahead of time. Yes, there are beautiful new places for rent, but you pay even more for them. So speaking of prices, the prices can also be a little bit high depending on what you're used to, because again, supply and demand are so skewed here. And that's not just in the real estate market, it is also evident in the rental market. All right, time-wise, so student-dominated rental market means that there's mostly rentals on a school year cycle. So you're going to see a lot of places list their availabilities for rent in like spring break time, like March, April, maybe into May. That's when there'll be the most places with for rent signs. But most of those leases will start July 1st because the property managers for those houses and duplex units will have their leases end basically right after like Oregon State University graduation, and then have 10 days or so to clean up the units, repaint, and then the new leases start on July 1st and then go until mid to late June the next year. So school year cycle applies for the most part. There's always going to be exceptions. So will there be other places the rest of the year? Yes, of course, just not a lot. At least not as many like houses and duplex units and stuff like that. Apartments we'll talk about a little bit later. But the key takeaway here is that regardless of the season, regardless of when you're looking to get a rental, whatever time of year it is, if you've got a place that you're looking at and it meets your needs and it's got a good manager and it's a good place, just jump on it because it's super competitive out there. Get that application fee in, be first in line, and make it happen. To share an example with you, I'm a small-time mom-and-pop property manager landlord. I've just got a few rentals myself, and there was one time when we were going to our rental to put a for rent sign in the yard, and we were met with people with applications in hand because the residents of ours that were going to be leaving had tipped off some friends of theirs and had told them we were going to be putting the place for rent. We had applications before we even left the property. So that's not what happens every day, obviously, but again, in summary, competitive rental market, and you need to know that if you're coming here. All right, now Corvallis is a small city, really more of a big town, right? It's about 60,000 people. So I know that in big cities, there is such a thing as like a third-party independent leasing agent, but in a community this small, that isn't really a job that exists at this time. And we, meaning like real estate agents like myself, we don't have keys for the rental properties the same way that realtors have keys and access to homes for sale. So we're happy to be a resource for you. You can lean on us as a resource, but we don't have the same capabilities as if you're renting in Portland, Oregon, or in Seattle, Washington, where that's someone's full-time job is helping you find a rental as opposed to being the leasing agent. All right, so let's get to the important part. What do you do and how do you find a rental house or a rental unit in like a duplex or triplex, something like that? We'll get to apartments later. So what you need to know is that there are a number of big property managers in town, and those are great places to check first. Some of those in no particular order include companies such as Diversified Property Management. I've worked with them a lot. Dirksen & Associates, I've worked with them a lot too. At Home Property Management and Windermere Property Management. And yes, Windermere is also a real estate brokerage, just like RE/MAX is, but RE/MAX doesn't do property management. Windermere does have a separate arm, a different division where they manage leases. So check out some of these bigger property managers in town, go to their websites, see what availabilities they have. Call them up and see if they've got anything coming up when you're going to be moving here. Okay, so you're on those property manager websites, you're looking at their current list of vacancies and stuff that they have coming up, but also check those third-party sites. Get to Craigslist, get to apartments.com. Both of those sites have a lot of traction, a lot of market share in a community like Corvallis. And a lot of the vacancies that are posted on the individual managers' websites will aggregate onto places like Craigslist and apartments.com. Those kind of serve as like a hub for rental vacancies. All right, pro tip for you. The usual caveats apply, right? When you're on sites like Craigslist or apartments.com, or maybe some small-time mom-and-pop property manager sites, be wary of scammers. Please don't get scammed. I don't want that to be the experience you have while moving here. So how do you not get scammed? You've got to be aware that a lot of people will take like realtor photographs from houses for sale and make fake rental ads out of them, and then usually give you some kind of weird sob story about, why they're out of state and can't unlock the front door to show you the unit, or they'll just ask you to send them money before they've even shown you the property without an explanation. That should be a red flag for you. The advice I would give you here, the actual pro tip, is to not send someone money who hasn't unlocked the front door and proved that they actually manage the property. There you go, super important. Also know that there's a lot of mom and pop property managers, a lot of mom and pop landlords just like me who really do know what they're doing. They follow the rules, they use the proper forms, but there's also some who don't, of course. So just be careful about what you're signing, because I've seen this with some of the other mom and pop property managers, is that they just don't use good forms and their leases are missing really important things for you, like lease break provisions. Most of the time when I'm talking with folks such as yourself who are looking to move here and settle into a rental before we buy a house, you're looking for a place that's a shorter term rental, or you're looking to sign a lease knowing that you're probably going to break that lease at some point when you actually buy a house and move out of the rental. If your lease doesn't have a lease break clause, if there is no lease break provision, you're going to have a hard time having an easy exit. That needs to be in there, and it is standard, if I can use that word, that the local property managers all have lease break provisions in their rental agreements. Okay, if you're not wanting a rental house and you are specifically looking for an apartment to rent, here's what you need to know. First of all, I think this is a great way to go, even though it doesn't work for everybody. The nice thing about apartment rentals is that the apartments tend to be in pretty good shape, and they've usually got built-in or on-site property managers, which is great because you have instant access to people when stuff needs to get fixed. Also, you should know that many of the apartments will advertise on sites like Craigslist and apartments.com, but that you should also check out their individual websites. Because when you go on those individual websites, they usually have video tours of the apartments and floor plans where you can see the layouts, and that's super helpful, and I don't want you to miss that stuff. Nice thing about a lot of these apartments is that many of them will have amenities. There'll be swimming pools that people tend not to use because it's not really warm here, but they'll have swimming pools, they'll have fitness centers, they'll have lounges, they'll have printers, stuff like that, and that all provides value to you. Also know that many of the apartments will have pet-friendly units, even though there tend to be like size and breed restrictions, as you can imagine. One of the benefits of renting an apartment instead of just looking for houses and duplexes is that many of the apartments will have random vacancies just throughout the year, not necessarily lined up with that school year cycle that I mentioned. So because they have a vacancy when it's not peak rental season, they may very well actually be willing to do like a month-to-month rental or a 6-month lease or just some kind of other lease agreement instead of just a typical school year lease. So that can be advantageous to you depending on the time of year. All right. What are some of the apartments that we've had people live in that have gone really well? I'm giving you just some examples here. There's more, but definitely check out places like Briar Ridge by Crest Properties. They're up in Northwest Corvallis. I think they have one furnished unit as well. There's not a lot of furnished units around here. So check out Briar Ridge right off of Walnut. Also check out places like Conifer Place Apartments. They're up in Northeast Corvallis in a lovely little spot near a middle school and near Jackson Fraser Wetlands. I used to live there, so you've probably heard me mention Conifer Place in some of my other videos. That's a very well-maintained, nicely upgraded apartment complex, even though it's not brand new. Be sure to check out places like Oakvale Apartments. Oakvale is in Northwest Corvallis in the Witham Hill area, and I've had a couple of clients live there over the years, and they've said good things about them. Be sure to check out places like Grand Oaks Apartments. Grand Oaks is in Southwest Corvallis, and so that's a little bit of a quieter spot, but I've had a lot of people just use Grand Oaks as like a landing pad when they move to the Corvallis area. Grand Oaks has a number of pet-friendly apartments, they've got some great amenities, and it's only maybe 8 or 10 minutes from downtown. Timber Hill Meadows is another really nice apartment complex. I don't think I've ever had any clients happen to live there, but I've been inside of some of those units myself, and they're relatively new in the grand scheme of things, maybe 6 or 7 or 8 years old, so they've been in pretty good shape, and I hear they have a good manager, even though I haven't had any clients live there yet. And also check out places like Mountain View at Rivergreen. These are apartments that are in Southtown and Southeast Corvallis. I'm pretty sure they have some pet-friendly policies and a nice location right near Willamette Park. All right, side note, even though most of my viewers are townies, if you are a student looking for an apartment rental, be sure to check out some of the places that are even closer to campus, because that's not what I focused on just now. So look up places like The Retreat, and those might be even better for you if you're a student that doesn't have a car and you want to be right by campus. Most of my viewers don't want to be living on campus, they just want to be somewhere in the community, but I wanted to mention that for you guys. Another common question we get from students who are looking for an apartment to rent is where can they find furnished rental units? For furnished rentals, check out places like The Union, which is on Harrison Boulevard, just a stone's throw north of campus. They have a bunch of furnished units that are available. And also 7th Street Station. 7th Street Station is a newer apartment complex as well, so is The Union. And 7th Street Station is very close to downtown, kind of in between downtown and campus. So check them out too, and know that some of those have quad-style units. So you can rent the entire apartment if you've got that many people, but they have options where if you're just a single person looking to join and co-house with others, you can share a furnished living space as well. All right, a couple of bonus pro tips here at the end, super important stuff. First bonus pro tip I want to share with you is that it is not a bad thing if your apartment or rental place is charging you an application fee. I'm encouraged by that. It's important. It means that they are actually screening their residents, making sure that they don't have weird criminal history and evictions and FBI watch list issues and all kinds of stuff like that. So you're going to have probably better neighbors in a place that is screening their tenants, and it's probably just a place that you'd want to rent from more. Also, and this is absolutely super, super important, do not forget the biggest, most important bonus pro tip of the day. Whoever you're renting from, Google them. Put their name, personal names, as well as company names into a search and see what people are saying. It's absolutely mission critical as far as I'm concerned that you do this. I don't want you to end up connecting with someone who seems like a really sweet mom and pop property manager or landlord, and it turns out that all of their tenants for years have been writing reviews saying that they're just awful, don't work with them. Just do a Google search. Take everything you read online with a grain of salt, but when you see a pattern, it's probably for a reason. Always Google the people you're renting from. I wanted to just take a moment, though, and reiterate or recap the summary of the most important piece here for you, which is that rental season is super competitive out here. I've talked with a lot of folks, even while we've been making this video, acting as a resource for renters, because a lot of my clients need to rent before buying. And what I keep hearing over and over is that you've got to be the first person clicking refresh on those websites that we mentioned for property managers or CraigslistApartments.com. And if you're the first person to click refresh when a vacancy is posted and the first person to call, you get the rental. Otherwise, you're 15th in line. So please know that you've got to be decisive and act quickly to make this all work out. All right. Well, folks, thanks for tuning in. Again, I'm Michael Krasilovsky here with Remax in Corvallis, and I'm happy to be a resource for you in the process here, and I hope that this Rentvallis video really gets you started. So let me know if I can ever be of service as you consider making a move to this area, and I appreciate your viewership. Thanks, and bye for now.